I'm here to say, face get checked like TSA. This is a PSA. Sports in my blood like DNA. We grinding for the chip like Frito-Lay. And I'm gon' let you know if he don't play. I promise this show will never be a bore. Checking out talent from Sea Keys to North Shore.
All the way to North Shore.
It'll never be a gimmick. Was at Aldine, now I'm at Nimitz. Kings in the city, we gon' need to wear a crown. You can bet us now, we the livest in A-Town. So while you tipping in your lab or your Chevy, or you chilling in your house, get your popcorn ready.
Get your popcorn ready.
I'm having visions of being lead. Friday just put me in a football frenzy. They ain't all we do. We cover basketball, tennis, and baseball. We do it all. This is time well spent. It's 7 o'clock, so it's time to vent.
Hello. Happy Monday, everyone. It's 7 o'clock in the 8, y'all, and it's time to vent. I'm your host, Gentre Williams, joined by Darrian Valsin. Man, how was your weekend, brother?
Well, I'm good, man. It was very pleasant. Blessed to be here and ready to talk some sports, man.
Hey, there's plenty of sports to go over this weekend as NFL kicked off the first week of preseason, and plenty of rookie quarterbacks had their debut. And something I want to talk to you about was, some of the first impressions. First impressions always go a long way. So what's some quarterbacks or any players that made some good first impressions on you from this weekend?
I think the first one we go to is Trey Lance. I think he definitely showed he's got something going, a lot of upside. And he definitely left an impression on everybody with that huge, what was it, 80?
Yeah, it was an 80-yard bomb rolling out to his left.
Yeah.
And he just slung it. I mean, he didn't really get too much under it. It was kind of a wobbly ball, but he still put it out there, and it's scary. If he can really figure out that Shanahan offense, man, look out. Yeah. That can be a problem.
Yeah, Garoppolo going to have to be looking for CFL teams. I don't want to.
Jimmy G is going to be straight, even if football don't go his way. He got.
Well, yeah, he made plenty of money over the years. I mean, he's going to be rich. I'm not talking about he's going to be, in the poorhouse or nothing. But that start job might not be yours for long. But
nah, man.
Days.
I was, I kind of tuned in for that game. I watched a couple of Trey Lance's highlights. He did look very good in that game, but there was some, throws, and he did hold the ball a little bit too long there. But he has some development to do. It was his first preseason game. The kid's going to get better. He has a bright future ahead of him. But the guy that kind of really stood out for me, I'm going to kind of go off a quarterback for a little bit, is Patrick Surtain for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, it was my guy, remember?
Dude.
Yeah. Hey, listen, man.
Lockdown corner from day one. It looks like. It's just preseason, I know.
Well, yeah. You can't get too, overreaction. But, this is a show, so we got to be entertaining at it. But, yeah, I mean, I'm not no Alabama fan, but sitting there watching him, you kind of seen he has that it factor. He definitely has that, something in him to be special. And I think that he might be that guy that could. Yes. I mean, because it looks like the Dolphins, right? Wait, it's not
the
Broncos. Yeah. His dad played for the Dolphins. That's why I stick. But, yeah. We talked about it. I think the Denver Broncos have a lot defensively, and he could be that missing piece for them to really get them over the top. Now, the question is going to be offensively how they're going to do. But I think defensively, they're set.
They got probably one of the top 5 pass rushers in the league, top secondary, top 5, you would think. Simmons and, now they got Patrick Surtain. They got a nice, very good defense. Could be top 10 if they, play their cards right. But it's going to come down to Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater. Can they get it done at the quarterback position? And to start, with a little bit more local news, the Texans won their first preseason game. Hooray. Same thing, but I was talking about first impressions, and first impressions goes a long way. Right. I remember the first time Dak Prescott stepped on the field for the Dallas Cowboys in their preseason game. You can tell from that first series, like, okay, this guy got it. And then same thing with Russell Wilson, another late round pick. The reason why I'm bringing those two guys up, because they were third round picks just like David Mills. And I was watching David Mills. He not it. He not. I hope he can develop. He can develop. But first impressions go a long way.
He didn't move you.
He didn't move me at all. He didn't move the defense. He didn't move
the offense.
He didn't move the offense. He was throwing into some really very tight windows. It felt like he was reading. Like they'll play like a cover 2 and he'll throw. And I was just like, I don't know. I think we're still really looking for our quarterback if you're the Houston Texans.
Well, just like how we said for the guys like Trey Lance or Patrick Surtain Jr. It's amazing, but you cannot overreact to the good performances like you can't overreact to the bad ones.
That's true.
So now you might be right in your assessment. He might not be anything that, but I think the best thing is to do, just
hold off.
Give it a wait we'll see. You know, maybe he could develop. Maybe he's trying to get more acclimated to the Texans' offensive scheme, whatever that is. And we'll see from there, man.
I mean, the Texans, from what I've seen, they do have an identity, and that's really one of the more important things as a football team. They have a bunch of guys that's been counted out, and they're all trying to, like, DeMarc Ingrams, Brandon Cooks.
I definitely count on Mark Ingram. I knew that's what you was going to. So I count on Mark Ingram.
Chris Gunn. They got a bunch of guys that's been counting out the league, counting out the NFL, and, you know, they're going to have this identity of it's us against the world. Mm-hmm. And as a Texans fan, that's not really something I can really get behind, but I understand it. At least we have some type of identity.
Sure. I mean, the land of the misfit toys. I mean, hey,
Tyrod Taylor,
nobody wants us, so let's just come together and just be mediocre. So.
That's the ceiling for the team if you really look at it.
Yeah.
But the main guy that really stole the show this weekend was Justin Fields for the Chicago Bears.
Absolutely.
If you're Andy Dalton, one of the things you that was your offensive rookie of the year pick on our Friday show,
mm-hmm.
and you were saying that you feel like Justin Fields can get it, and my whole thing was I didn't know if he was going to get the start from this jump in the season with a guy like Andy Dalton, but more and more I think about it, Andy Dalton arrived at camp the same time Justin Fields did, so there's no difference in the playbook, knowledge or anything like that. So Justin Fields, I don't see what the Bears are just holding on to, just starting Andy Dalton like. Watching that game, I know he was going to get second team and third team guys, but he looked like a NFL's franchise quarterback, and something the Bears haven't had ever.
Ever. No, ever. Well, at least not in the modern times. I think they had a guy by the name of Sid Luckman. That was like in the 40s.
Sid Luckman.
Yeah, more old school NFL I know for no reason. But yeah, you're right. The thing with Dalton and Justin Fields is, I think that when you're looking at Andy Dalton, you have a guy who, though he is not acclimated to the playbook, but he still has that veteran presence. Right. He's still going to come in. He's going to know how to learn. He's going to know how to acclimate himself because he's been with other teams. He's already, made that stop at the Cowboys. So I think the transition for him is a little easier because he still has that NFL mindset coming in. Justin Fields still coming out of college, coming out of that Ryan Day, Ohio State offense, which I'm sure is drastically different from Chicago's and Matt Nagy's offensive scheme. I
mean, if you're Matt Nagy, wouldn't you build a scheme around Justin Fields instead of having a quarterback that fits your scheme?
I would, but I mean, I think that scheme fits what he does pretty well. I don't think there's. I think that's why it's a hand in glove fit with the pick because he's the type of what you want, just the same as Trey Lance was with Kyle Shanahan in the 49ers.
Perfect fit, man.
So I don't think that's going to be an issue. I think it's just going to be an issue of Andy Dalton coming out maybe for those first few games. But you're right, because Chicago is a team that a lot of people think could contend if they have a quarterback who could play at a high level. So I understand the rush to have Justin Fields in if you feel like he's a playmaker that can make an immediate impact.
Right.
We'll see what they do.
He kind of reminds me, I don't want to jump the gun too early, but he kind of reminds me a lot of Deshaun Watson and just his playmaking ability when he escapes.
You definitely jumped the gun, buddy. You at the one preseason game?
Well, just as a prototype, if you had to give a comparison for Justin Fields, I would go more so of Deshaun Watson. In saying that with the Texans and Deshaun Watson, I was really watching a lot of the young quarterbacks, and I kind of brought this up to you early over the phone, and do you have a feeling like with the quarterbacks, all these 707 camps, 1111, all these offseason camps that these quarterbacks are doing, they're just coming into the NFL ready as if they can read a cover 2, cover 3, cover 4 defense. Mm-hmm. They can read any type of defense. They understand everything. Mm-hmm. And if you're the Texans, you might want to move off of Deshaun Watson before it's too late, because the reason why I say that is because I feel like if these teams continue to see how good these young quarterbacks are coming into the NFL, it kind of the value of having a premier quarterback is not going to be that much beneficial because it's the talent gap is going to close up a little bit.
So you're saying that within the next several years we could be looking at overabundance of quarterbacks to the point that their value kind of goes down?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. It's just because the way you're talking is like the way the running back position is kind of gone.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
You think that could happen?
I really think that can happen.
But okay, well, we
will see in about 5 to 10. I have just from watching how the quarterbacks are developing. Maybe in 5 to 10 years, maybe the Texans could get what they can for Deshaun. But in 5 to 10 years, quarterbacks it's going to be 35, 40 starting caliber quarterbacks throughout the league.
But my question with that would probably be, okay, but what if you have a situation with quarterbacks And I'm going to draw a similarity. Right. I remember about maybe 10 years ago when they were using athletic quarterbacks.
Right.
The Robert Griffins or the Colin Kaepernicks when he was in his prime, and they were utilizing the read option.
Yes.
And you remember how defensive-minded coaches kind of schemed around it and pretty much made those type of quarterbacks obsolete.
Right.
So my question would be, if you have an abundance of those quarterbacks, and then you have defensive-minded coaches who create schemes, wouldn't we be in that same situation we were in 10 years ago?
Well, I'm like the quarterbacks I'm seeing coming up are very Aaron Rodgers-esque. Even Zach Wilson, he can make every single throw. I watched it like.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we got a bunch of robots that's coming in here,
like they can throw it rolling out left. You've seen Trey Lance rolling out left, throwing it 80 yards over the top of the defense. Justin Herbert. So many good young quarterbacks are coming into the league, and they're going to continue to come in the league at that level. Okay. I just feel like the quarterback play is at a higher level than it's ever been.
Well, I mean, I could ride with that one. Now the only question would be is if we have an abundance of the same quarterback,
right?
Is it going to be the norm, or are we going to have defensive coordinators who pretty much do like they did those 10 years ago? So I mean, I see what you're saying, but I think the difference with that, with running backs, was keying on a running back was a lot easier because the running game is just simple: find a hole, hit.
Right.
That's it. Quarterbacks is a lot more difficult because you have to have a certain understanding of an offensive scheme. You have to be able to make all the throws. And I mean, I agree. We have a lot of young quarterbacks who are have ability to make different types of throws, but everybody's not going to be Aaron Rodgers. Everybody's not going to be Pat Mahomes. We can have a whole bunch of athletic guys.
Yes, it's going to be more athletic, talented, big arm.
So that goes back to my point. It's like.
But is there a defensive scheme for that? Like, can you stop a guy that can? Because you can only cover an NFL receiver for so long.
That's true.
And they're going to break open eventually. And if you have 25 to 30 quarterbacks that can put it over top like a Mahomes, what can a defense really
I mean, we, as fans, we watch it, but these defensive coordinators. I mean, we really, really undervalue just how much due diligence they do in terms of finding the weak spots in a lot of these guys.
That's true.
I having a guy who could throw 30, 40 yards off a dime or 50, 60 yards just with the flick of the wrist.
Right.
That's nice, but with these guys, these defensive coordinators and defensive-minded coaches who find these schemes, hours on end worth of film work, they're gonna find something.
There's always a weak. There's always a weak. A little chink in the armor.
You gotta stop saying that, man. They're gonna. I'll tell you when we get off the air why that's not something.
Chink in the armor. What's wrong? With
stop saying that. What? Okay, never mind. We apologize. These comments are from Trey Williams and do not reflect Maxx TV.
And a little bit more preseason news. The Chicago Bears, they defeated the Miami Dolphins 20-13 over this past weekend. We also have the Denver Broncos winning 33-6 over the Minnesota Vikings. Another game I wanted to get to was the Cleveland Browns and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I had my own that game.
Okay.
Trevor Lawrence, he made his, he was making his debut. He had a nice little 30-yard pass to Devin Funchess. He was moving around the pocket, but from what I seen, he's gonna suffer a lot from what Andrew Luck and Deshaun Watson went through.
I mean, yeah, it goes without saying. The Jaguars are just in a bad place. That I don't know. I guess the football guys told them, once you decide to, keep Blake Bortles on the roster for too long.
That was probably one of the worst.
Yeah, we're gonna curse you for the rest of all of eternity. But I thought when you brought up the Cleveland and Jacksonville game, obviously the stars like Baker Mayfield or Jarvis Landry, did they play? I don't know.
No, not for the. Okay. They started off.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, just talking about how how they're gonna look for the season, but let's gonna bring up the whole Tebow thing. Did you see?
Tebow didn't do nothing. He didn't make no impact,
bro.
No impact.
No. Did you see the plays that somebody was showing, like some of the blocks that he lit, that whiff he did? Like he's just.
I really wasn't. I was just watching it as a football league, but he really didn't make too much of an impact from what I seen.
He needs to be cut. No, Urban Meyer. That's
just Urban Meyer, who has a system. And he has a couple of guys that he's going to incorporate to his offense. And then the game. I'm pretty sure you was heavily watching, man. The Baltimore Ravens and the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, for about 3.5 quarters. Then I just went find something else to talk about.
How you feeling about your quarterback battle? I heard Jameis Winston put together a nice little drive.
Yeah, he had
like a 3-for-3.
Yeah, you know what? Taysom had a good drive. The opening drive, he played well. He had some good. Let me tell you something. Marquez Callaway, I think he could be another guy because I talked to you about Tre'Quan Smith.
Right.
Because obviously Mike Thomas is going to be out for the beginning of the season due to his ankle injury.
Right.
But Tre'Quan Smith, but Marquez Callaway had a really good game. He really showed something. And I said with the Saints, the wide receiver core is very, very inexperienced, but I think they could be they could really shock some people because there's some talent there. And they weren't really highly heralded guys coming into the draft. So I think we found another diamond in the rough with him. But he kind of gained some chemistry.
He's out of Florida or
Marquez Callaway?
Yeah.
Tennessee.
Tennessee, okay.
Yeah, same place Kamara went. They obviously they didn't play the
right.
A couple years after him. But yeah, he had a nice little rapport with Taysom Hill in the first drive, and then Latavius Murray fumbled the ball. You know what was funny? Every quarterback that played for the Saints that Saturday, every one of them threw an interception. Every running back who played had a fumble because Latavius had a fumble.
Wow.
And then we got Devontae Freeman from the Falcons. Yeah, he's on the team now. That's a long story. But he fumbled. And then Tony Jones Jr., who we got from Notre Dame.
I remember him.
Yeah, Tony Jones Jr., he fumbled. He probably actually had the best performance of any running back.
You know, most rookies do fumble in their first.
Yeah.
They got to learn to tuck the ball away.
Exactly.
Once you go in there running with the ball like this, those linebackers, they're taught
you got
to knock it out. So
you got to carry that thing like a loaf of bread. But you got to carry it, man. But going back to the quarterback situation, I mean, my opinion hasn't changed. I think neither of them really were overly spectacular.
Right.
Like Jameis had the touchdown drive, which was good. But I'm of the opinion, nobody's spectacular. But if I'm having to pick, the best one on the roster is Jameis. So that's going to have to be the way to go. So we'll see with the rest of the preseason.
We'll continue to see exactly what
our defense is still good though.
Oh yeah, Demario Davis, Cam Jordan.
Yeah. He didn't play. They didn't play, but some of the younger guys. Paulson Adebo, I think he's really good.
Yeah, I got somebody that replaced what's his name, Trey Hendrickson. Yeah, I got another edge rusher over there.
Yeah, we got Peyton Turner from U of H.
Oh wow,
that was our first round pick.
Okay, okay,
that's what we took.
Yeah, I still have Davenport or
yeah, he's still there.
Okay,
yeah he played pretty well.
Crazy pass rush.
Yeah, it's all about staying healthy. That's the only issue. But we're gonna have to be defensively sound because the offense is the same.
And another game over the weekend was the Cincinnati Bengals winning 19-14 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I was watching the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow didn't play. Joe Mixon had a couple of really good runs, but again, T. Higgins, man.
Yeah.
This guy, I'm not saying he's going to be a top 5 receiver or anything like that, but he's going to be a star in this league for a while.
Yeah.
Him and Tyler Boyd, he also had a great game.
Okay.
And Jamar Chase, he has some things to learn about the NFL coverage. You can tell. He had a nice little screen they threw to him on the left side of the field. He broke away for like 19 yards.
Yeah, about 19.
He's a very elusive guy. You want the ball in his hands a lot, but what got me with the Bengals really was their defense. They have spent so much money on that defense, and you're starting to see it really pay off. They picked up Trey Hendrickson, the guy I was, asking about that came
Trigger Trey is what they call him.
Hey, that dude's coming off the edge, and he's forcing a lot of, like, the tackles was like 2-3 yards in the backfield, like, every single time. Like,
right.
He's kind of underrated in a sense. I didn't know he was that good of a.
Well, you know what? He kind of broke out last year because he had been struggling the last couple of years. Obviously, he was in New Orleans. That's who he was drafted with.
Right.
But the thing about we kind of got rid of him because we were kind of playing the contract year game. You know how teams or players become a lot more productive in their contract years, and then you give them that big money, and it's like, so we kind of played the long, kind of called the bluff with Trey. So I wish him the best.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he looked pretty good. His year. Last year, he looked amazing. So,
right.
I think the Bengals have a good find with him. Another thing with Cincinnati is obviously going to be the question about their protection, whether they can protect Joe. Because
they got a new offensive line coach, and I could see a little bit. I didn't really notice a difference in the offensive line play or the running game, just the techniques they was running, like the gaps and everything. I didn't see that much of a difference, so we'll continue to see how that offensive line develops throughout the year.
Yes, sir. We will keep a watchful eye.
And another game was the New York Jets and New York Giants. Those guys went at it, and I was watching. What?
I said I don't care.
The Zach Wilson, man, I was actually impressed with Zach Wilson. And the Jets did a pretty good job of surrounding him with some decent weapons. They're not doing him how they did Sam Darnold. They're not kind of leaving him out to dry. I was very impressed with Zach Wilson. He can make all the throws on any platform, just like he displayed at the BYU. But he has kind of this gunslinger kind of mode a little bit, where he was forcing it a couple of balls, and I was like, that's gonna get him in trouble against New England. That's going to get him in trouble against Buffalo. And he's got to see those teams twice a year. Yeah. But he can develop into a really good, pretty good NFL quarterback from what I'm seeing.
Well, they're going to have to wait because they pretty much have nobody behind them. And, you take him with the number 2 pick, he's going to have to be a franchise sooner or later. So we'll see with him. I mean, I'm not saying I'm downing on Zach Wilson. I just didn't see as much of him in BYU.
Right,
so
right.
I give them the benefit of the doubt. But the Jets, they have to show that they could build a team, because for the past 20 years that has not been the case.
Nah, ever since they had that one good little run when they had Rex Ryan, and he had.
But even then, offensively they were awful. Mark Sanchez,
don't even start on
game manager for the AFC title game. That's crazy.
Fumble, man.
He actually beat Tom Brady and Peyton Manning in the playoffs. Ain't that something?
I did not know.
Defense goes a long way, ladies and gentlemen.
That was Bart Scott, Darrell Reeves. That was a hell of a team ball club. And then we also had the Las Vegas Raiders and the Seattle Seahawks. The Raiders winning that preseason game 20-7. Not really to take away from that game. Not too many starters played. The Raiders and Seahawks, they're looking to be a Super Bowl contender with Russell Wilson, but didn't really have too much takeaways on that game. But the Los Angeles Chargers and the Los Angeles Rams, they also played this weekend with the Chargers winning 13-6.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good game. That wasn't the story from that game. You seen that doggone fighting?
Yeah, that was the story from that.
25 fat people just sitting in the stands just going at each other over, I don't know, extra sausage or something.
Man, I don't know.
Did you see that lady who threw? You know that lady who instigated the whole fight?
She was sitting in the back. She turned around at the camera, put the drink in.
Looked dead at the camera and just chucked the coke at it, and then just tried to play victim because somebody was wailing on her like near the end of the video.
Hey, the dude when he tried to hit him, he tried to hit all 4 of them at one time.
He did. He was overpowering. Dude was overpowering everybody. Yeah. You know what happened? Like the dude, like I guess the guy, the old man was sitting behind him. Like what you understand? Right. Like people are fighting, you got nothing to do with. You don't want no parts of it. He's trying to get out the way, and in the process of getting out the way, he kind of like kicked the dude in the butt, and then pretty much pushed him into the ass whooping. So man, that
was funny, man. And
yeah, it's funny, but this is why people don't want to go to. That's why I'm hesitant to go to games, because these fans just, you gotta stop. And this is gonna be very controversial. I don't care though. I've been an advocate for prohibiting the sale of alcoholic beverages at sporting events, because this is the kind of foolishness you get.
I think it's,
you took Trey. Now if you took all those people blood alcohol intent or content, and then you understand the intent.
Yeah,
that's true. Man, them just foolishness.
But they make so much money off of alcohol that game.
Yeah, listen. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but it'd be for the best.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, you disagree. That's fine. I'm not.
Well, you know what? You might make a good point. Do they sell alcohol at college games?
They just started now. I think. They started maybe 2 years ago. They weren't doing that.
You know what? You make. But
a good point. People were sneaking it in there.
I mean, people are always gonna do that. Yeah. People gonna be people, but in the college atmospheres, it was always nice and live. So if the NFL was to go with like, hey, no alcohol for situations like that,
right.
And there's another situation we can kind of bring up in the NBA,
right? You
know what I mean? Yeah. And that. If we could just get alcohol out of the arena, some of these problems could be very easily avoided.
Exactly. It shouldn't be that. We should be able to have the sale of alcohol, but you just can't trust people. You just got to save them from themselves. Because you get foolishness like that stuff we seen. That was embarrassment.
Very embarrassing. Another embarrassing moment. I was over the weekend. Talking about the Malice in the Palace.
Right.
I watched the series, man, and just to hear from Jermaine O'Neal, Steven Jackson, and just their point of perspective, it really did change my outlook on the whole situation, because the whole time I always thought I understand Ron Artest got a cup of water thrown in his face, but I was like, come on, Ron, you're a pro. Just,
That's how you felt?
Well, I didn't feel like
and they deserve that ass whoop.
Well,
we need another one like that nowadays.
Just running into the stands, that's dangerous. Like
it is.
You never know.
You worried about the player safety? Yeah, just for that fact, you shouldn't do that. But some of these people just like you go to a game, cheer if you want, boo if you want. When it gets to the part, and that was the situation a couple months ago with Russell Westbrook. What was that, like last year
at Utah?
Yeah. Because they got a lot of problems there.
Man,
because it's Utah, so they ain't got nothing to do but watch basketball or count rocks. But man, it's like when you're a paying customer, you have the right to voice your opinion.
Exactly.
Boo, cheer. But when you start treating people, these are athletes. They're here for entertainment. They're people. They're human beings. First. And you throwing stuff at them like they're like zoo animals or animals in a circus. You're going to get situations. Yeah. And it's just been a problem. And it's crazy that you have so many people who actually defend that. Yeah. I know where that's coming from. Oh, excuse me. See, I get passionate over my point and just knock the microphone over. I know where that comes from. But, that's issue for another day. But, yeah, you watched the documentary. I know you're going to talk about it. I haven't been able to watch it yet. I haven't found the right illegal stream to use because I'm not paying for Netflix again. So.
Oh, man. And, the thing that really stood out to me from that documentary, like I said, was just, how all those guys' image was really tarnished. Mm-hmm. And, I don't want to, ruin it for anybody, but Ben Wallace, man, his brother died that day.
Right.
And Jamal Tinsley was the one that really started everything. Mm-hmm. If you watch, once you watch that documentary, you'll see that Jamal Tinsley, like late in the fourth quarter, the Pistons, not the Pistons, but the Pacers, they was favored to win a championship that year. They was one of the teams that was really looking down to win an NBA championship. And
the Pacers, right?
Yeah, the Pacers.
Yeah, because the Pistons had just won there.
Yeah, the Pistons just won it. They knocked off the Pacers the year before in the conference championship, and the Pacers went out and picked up Steven Jackson, and they thought that was a guy to put him over the top. Mm-hmm. But you add Steven Jackson with Ron Artest, and that you create. A different type of team.
They were on their way. Yeah,
they was definitely.
They were a 60-win team.
That was
easily.
That was probably the best team in the league that year, and arguably with the Spurs.
Yeah, Spurs.
The Spurs won a championship, so it's like revisionist history. But so they start talking about the documentary, and I've lost my track.
You're talking about the image that it laid up. But going back to your point before you go into further. And I remember you told me this. I didn't know that about Ben Wallace's father. Mm-hmm. Oh, not his father, his brother.
His brother died
that day. And that goes to another thing that kind of reminded me of where remember the Allen Iverson, the famous practice rant?
Yes.
But people a lot, they always make that joke about you don't like practice, when in context, people were getting on him about an issue that happened in practice.
Right, yeah.
And it was a non-issue, it was a story. That's why he said, we're sitting here talking about practice.
Yeah.
It wasn't so like, I don't care about practice. It was like, why are we making this issue about practice? And you bringing me here over this non-issue. I just lost, and he had lost his best friend.
Right.
Consider his brother just recently. So, it's another issue of players being, like you said, human beings with human emotions and human problems, just like the rest of us. But treated like or disregarded because they're athletes who make millions of dollars and have fame and notoriety. And so, that's the situations you get when those emotional issues cross the line and fists start flying and chairs and all that crazy stuff.
The guy I was trying to remember Jamal Tinsley's name. For some reason, I just
point guard.
Yeah, point guard. Jamal Tinsley he went up to Ron Artest at the end of the game. It was like, get your foul. And he was, I guess Ron Artest really wanted to foul Ben Wallace for some odd reason. I don't know what that was about, but he told Ron Artest, go get your foul now. And so Ron Artest went to foul Ben Wallace really hard. Mm-hmm. And like I said, Ben Wallace lost his brother earlier that day. And
but it was
just a shovel match. The players felt like, once that happened, everything, all those guys were friends. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah, all those guys played together in the summertime, chilled together as families and all that. Yeah. So they was just going to leave it on the court. Right. And Ron Artest, he goes and lays on the bench. And then once he lays on the bench, that's when you get the cup thrown and Jermaine O'Neal flying on the court. It was chaos.
Right.
And then the NBA, from what they was getting from the media, like, oh, these guys are thugs, their image, yada, 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 you got to do that. They suspended those guys, and nothing happened to the fans. But when it went to the Supreme Court, they went and looked at all the footage. Right. They found out who threw the cup, and then the guy that threw the chair, that was...
Obviously, he should have been in prison, honestly, because... And that's the craziest dichotomy of sports. Is like, you act like this underage animal when if you went to the outside, first off, you never would have did that. Guy would have never thrown a cup at Ron Artest if you walking up to him in the street.
No, it wouldn't.
Let's be absolutely honest about that. But just because you're in a sporting event, it don't give you the right to act like an animal.
True.
You can still be a law-abiding human being. And what's funny about that? The people who defend crap like that,
yeah,
are the ones who always talk about law and order. So Once again, another issue for a different day.
Another issue for a different day. And, if you guys haven't had the opportunity to check out that documentary on Netflix, check it out. It'll change your whole perspective on what happened in the Malice in the Palace. One of the worst moments in sports between players and fans.
Yeah, stream it illegally. Don't give Netflix your money.
And another
we never get Netflix.
Another thing I want to get to as well was the Next Pro. It ended. Flight 713. They did win the championship this year.
Yes, sir.
We also had a nice, very good sit-down interview with Shannon Shorter. Caught up, talk with him a little bit, and we're gonna have that on the screen coming up shortly. But I just want to get your feelings on just how you felt about this year went for Next Pro.
First off, I want to thank Mr. Casey Williams, commissioner and head coach of second place runner-up finisher competitive choice. They were a wonderful host for us. It was a great season. We had little issues with the venue because of the crazy pandemic going around. So I think everybody transitioned beautifully. Just like we said, we watched those last two games. Flight 713, man, shout out to them because they came absolutely out of nowhere. Because you know what's crazy? And I was thinking about it. I know you probably thought about it. Mm-hmm. Had it not been for that first game they lost against Houston Flight, remember how they lost that game with the last second alley-oop?
Oh, yeah.
They would have swept the playoffs.
They would have.
They would have absolutely swept the playoffs. They just, even last night, the game we watched, competitive choice was in there. But you just kept getting the feeling that Flight 713, Shannon Shorter, and shout out to Jonathan Simmons, who ended up being the MVP of the championship.
Man, that kid.
He had 60?
No, he had 50. It was like 56.
Okay, you came close. I'll round it up to 60. But it just seemed like they were the better team the whole way through because competitive choice, every time they kind of, came up, made a run because Flight 713 jumped on them pretty early. I think it was like 18-2 to start. And, they competitive choice came back up, kind of got it tied or got it within 2 or 3 points. And after that, Flight 713 would just keep on hitting big shots, going on big runs until up until the fourth quarter when Shannon hit that nice, just does what he does. Those big shots.
I think it was Miles Burns was right in his face, and Shannon Shorter had no breathing room in the corner, and he just nailed it. And I'm like,
he's been doing it all season.
You can't play any better defense than what they just did, and he's still giving you buckets. And then a big X factor for Flight 713. I don't know if he gets enough credit. Is Andre Jones, the point guard, number 3.
Oh, absolutely,
dude. Like every time they needed a big bucket, it felt like he was there. Like Jonathan Simmons and Shannon Shorter, they was doing what they gonna do. They go get their 40, 50 points or whatever. But Chandre Jones, if once competitive choice to make a run, Chandre Jones will come back and he'll hit like a clutch 3. Yep. He'll make a clutch steal or he'll make the right pass. He was all over the court for Flight 713 in that championship round and in the playoffs.
And like I was telling you when we were doing a broadcast together, Flight 713 is always going to have production from those two stars, Shannon Shorter and Jonathan Simmons. But the X factor for them was going to be, can those other guys step up, and as role players, pick up the slack where, Shorter, because Shorter hit those big shots, but and it's crazy saying, I think he had like 30.
Yeah, he had like 28.
He had somewhat of a quiet game. But, just like you said, Jones, he stepped up to the plate and was hitting big shots, and that's what kept Flight 713 ahead until they, were hoisting the trophy. So,
right.
Congrats to them on that one, man. It was a great season.
And we're going to play the interview right here for you guys. You guys can hear the live interview with Shannon Shorter.
Yeah, hopefully Trey ain't fanboying, man.
Nah, I ain't.
He said it sounded like What's this, the remix?
Been balling since day one, breaking the no excuses scoring record. I seen your 62-point performance. You're putting together an MVP campaign in the summer circuit, man.
Yeah.
How you feel about that? How you feel about that?
I just trust my training. I really it's coming up on 10 years. It's coming up on 10 years pro this season, so I got to thank God for that for sure. And just continuously working, being consistent with my output, and just receiving the fruits of what I'm putting out there. I got to thank my trainers, Mike Woodcraft and Cap Clark. They get my body right. They be in the gym with me early. I put a lot of pressure on them, and they end up with me at 5 a.m., 7:30 a.m. So I got to show them love as well.
You getting the work in, man. I can tell some of your shot making ability. You had a triple-double tonight, man. You was all over the court, rebounding, assisting, facilitating. You have the all-around package as professional player, and it's fun watching you play. What are you seeing in this? What are you seeing in this defense that you just you can do whatever you want on? I
always watch the game after the game.
Right.
Even if it's in the summer, I just try to see where I can be better. Some of the shot selections I take could be a little better. I could get downhill a little better. But I just read the defense. If you go under, I'm gonna rise. If you play over the top, I'm gonna try to find an open man. I try to get downhill in transition. Whatever the defense gives me, I'm gonna tackle. I got a smaller guard on me. I'm gonna hit the mid post.
Again, I just put a lot of work.
In, and it's coming out on this side. Y'all seeing it on this side.
We're seeing it on this side, and you've had a long professional career, play for over 18 professional teams, as I've heard. You know, you're playing professional overseas. So, what are you looking to take from this summer league to the professional?
I've been in 4 straight finals. Going back to when I was in Australia. I just won 2 straight, Korea and Japan. So I just try to implement just my mentality, my intensity I bring to the game on both ends of the court. I try to bring that to the teams I go to. My goal is always to win the championship. I'm trying to go for 3 straight this year. That's been my goal. That's what I've been telling myself when I'm training, just to keep me motivated, just to keep that chip on my shoulder. I know how tough it is to win, even just to get to the playoffs. I'm excited to go to Turkey this year, and with the team I got. I believe we can make some noise. We got some good signings. We got some good signings, and I'm looking forward to the challenge.
I'm looking forward to you in game 2, man. You had a hell of a performance last night, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for joining me on this post-game interview. Shannon Shorter, triple-double tonight. Joining us here live on Maxx Sports TV. We'll be right back here Sunday for the. And we're back, and that was Shannon Shorter in an interview. This man been in 4 straight finals.
Yeah.
And he's out here hooping in the summer circuit, continuing to work on his craft, man. That's great to see. And what really impressed me with Shannon Shorter, he got the MVP, he won a championship, all that, but he also won the citizenship award as well. Yes. And that speaks to a player on the court and off the court. And that says so much about the man in general. And I had an opportunity to sit down and talking with him. And then after the game, I talked with him again. And Shannon Shorter is a really great guy, man. And I'm rooting for him. I hope he continues to, bring home the hardware for whatever league he's playing in. He got a fan of me, man.
Absolutely. Same here, man. Good luck to him. He's been fun to watch all season.
Very fun to watch. And moving on, and that was from the Next Pros No Excuses Pro League. And I still want to talk a little bit about the No Excuses Pro League because there's plenty of other teams and talents that we've seen there. Another guy I really want to pay attention to is Miles Burns from Competitive Choice. This kid, I'm telling you, defensively, offensively, even at his athleticism, to me, he has the opportunity to really make it as a professional level. He has all the tools you need.
Right. Yeah, good athleticism, man. 'Cause like you always said in the commentary, we made every top 10 since the league started, the season started. So, I would agree with that. Competitive Choice, once again, had an amazing season. They came up just a little short, but, it was still fun to watch as well.
Very fun to watch. And, Brent Reed, all those guys, shout out to Next Pro, man. We love covering that league. We can't wait to get back there next year. Casey Williams, huge shout out, man. Thank you guys so much for allowing Maxx Sports to be a part of your league and everything. And again, guys, this is the event. We want to hear some of you guys' topics, whatever you guys would like to talk about in sports in general. Comment down below. We'll get right back to you. We'll read them back to you, and we'll start a conversation. Join the discussion live here on the event.
Yeah, I got my phone now. Because we didn't have the monitor. But
right.
If anybody leaves us a comment, I'll definitely read it on here and answer.
Right.
Mother, if you're watching.
And moving on to some NBA news, man. Kawhi Leonard finally re-signed a max deal with the Los Angeles Clippers. He got a 4-year max deal. If that was me, if I'm the owner of the Clippers, I wouldn't give Kawhi Leonard a 4-year max deal.
Well, you're not Steve Ballmer.
I'm not Steve Ballmer. I know, but it's like I really feel like that was. They're not.
Hey man, listen, done. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and the new member of the Big Three, Eric Bledsoe.
Oh man,
what I do? I mean, hey, that's division.
That's
whatever.
How do you feel about that Rajon Rondo and Patrick Beverley for Eric Bledsoe trade?
I thought it was funny. Well, I mean, I gotta give a more an honest, full assessment. Okay, remember what I told you on the phone?
Right.
Me being a Saints fan, I'm on Twitter, social media at DVALS, DVALS, and being a Saints fan, I follow other Saints fans,
right,
who are people who live in New Orleans and also Pelican fans as well. I would just like to tell anybody who's not aware, they hate Eric Bledsoe. They hate his guts. He was absolutely. He despised.
Damn.
I mean, because he was Stan Van Gundy. I mean, that's why they were happy when Stan Van Gundy got fired, because he was starting him. Like
over Lonzo. You think that had a big reason with Lonzo?
No, not Lonzo. I think he was starting over what was it? Nikhil Alexander Walker.
Eric Bledsoe?
Yeah, like it was a rookie or Kira Lewis. It was one of those rookie guys. They wanted one of the younger guys because they got that younger core.
Right.
And Eric Bledsoe just wasn't doing it for him. And when he got traded to Memphis, they threw babies in the air, probably second line, all that crazy stuff. But I mean, hearing that he gets traded for Rondo and Pat Bev, and honestly, I'm just going, and Rondo at this point in his career
I think that's really good for Ja Morant, getting Rondo and Patrick Beverly in that practice.
Is it though?
I know you just talked about the Iverson, you were talking about practice, but as a developing for Ja Morant, having a guy like Rondo who's very smart guy, loves the film of basketball, then you got a dog like Patrick Beverly, pushing you every day. I think that's really going to benefit Ja Morant in the long run.
Well, sure. I mean, I don't know if it's going to make the Memphis Grizzlies a contender.
They're far away, man.
Yeah, that's we're a long ways from that. But good for them. I mean, veteran leadership for a young guy. It wouldn't hurt. And hopefully he doesn't pick up too many bad habits from Pat Bev and just being an annoying, rascal. But it's rebuilding time for Memphis.
Memphis been rebuilding for almost 10 years.
That's why I say you got to take, you got to be careful with it. But they haven't been. But they haven't been.
I mean, they had the little Zach Randolph run.
See, Sacramento is because that's a team who's rebuilding, and then they'll restart the rebuild.
They haven't made it since Chris Webber and them, huh? The playoffs.
No, 19 years and counting. Well, no, they make 2003. I believe 2003. Yeah, that's it.
Man, how do you?
Incompetent. They don't have the people that. If you look at the people who's like from owners to GMs, like it was just ridiculous people. They had one of the owners. I think he's still there now. He had instituted a idea where he wanted a specific player to be on one end of the floor, and then the rest of the team play 4 on 5 defense, and the last one on the other side of the court cherry picks. He wanted a cherry picking offense
in the NBA.
Yes. These are the type of people that's making these decisions. So, like when you hear people stuff like that, you understand why they haven't had no winning season in about 25 years. So,
that's crazy.
Yeah, so, it depends on the type of people you got at the top. The Clippers, I don't understand the Eric Bledsoe thing, but Jerry West is still he's
one of the best GMs.
He's one of the best GMs in NBA history. So obviously he knows something that we don't, and we'll see what happens from there.
We'll definitely see what happens from there. The West is getting more stacked every game by game, year by year. And the Rockets, we had a decent preseason or summer league this year, and a lot of guys they started off hot, but this past game, you're starting to see guys like Josh Christopher, they're not, coming out with the same flair that they had in the first couple of games. How many wins are you expecting for the Rockets this upcoming season? Would you say between 20 and 30 or 30 or 40?
Yeah, I said anything over 30 would be perfect.
Right.
I'm being realistic, maybe about 25, 30 range, 25, 27. 30 would be definitely a pleasant surprise. But once again, I'm not going to get into because I'm not going to analyze summer league games. That's the NBA season is over for me at this point. Because we got to instead of unimportant, non-consequential basketball games, we're doing unimportant, non-consequential football games. So this is that time of year. So
it's definitely that time of year. And we're going to kind of get back to football a little bit, college football. I was reading up on US Today. They was having the SEC preseason rankings. And, of course, Alabama, they're always number 2. But to my surprise, A&M is number 2.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't even see that.
Yes. I thought Georgia, or LSU, will be
16.
Oh, no, I'm talking about as far as power ranking just in the SEC in general.
Oh, you're talking about SEC power ranking.
Just SEC. Well, because no other conference really matters.
My mind is, you don't have to say that.
Let's be honest. I mean, outside of Clemson and Ohio State, and they get blown out, when they get there as well.
The Pac-12 is doing things. They're on late at night. What?
When was the last time you stayed up and watched a Pac-12 game?
I don't have a Pac-12 team. I didn't watch none of that Oregon crap like that stuff back then. I didn't watch.
I didn't.
It's, once again, maybe we might lose fans over this, but I wasn't big on Pac-12 football, but they've had some good teams, man. You're not being fair. That's irresponsible journalism. You can't half-ass it.
What? Who's a good? Okay, the Oregon Ducks from back 2013 against Cam, right? Mm-hmm. They was decent.
2011.
2011 against Cam.
Or 2010. Yeah.
What other Pac-12 team has really been a national powerhouse?
Well, it's not about that. They're doing stuff. They're playing football. It's just gotta show some love. Show some love.
Trying to show some love, but back to the SEC power rankings. How do you? What are some teams that you're feeling like can make a strong run outside of the normals in the SEC this year?
You talking about like a dark horse type?
A dark horse, maybe a Auburn, maybe a Florida, maybe a.
Even those teams are have been known to have great teams anyway. If you want to think outside the box, I guess I'm not no big Lane Kiffin fan, but I guess Ole Miss for what they're paying them athletes or something. No, I'm not gonna make them accusations again. But, I would go probably Ole Miss, maybe a team that might shock some people. They played pretty well last year for the most part. From the East, we've been waiting for Tennessee to come back for about 15, 20 years. We might have to wait another 5 times more. Georgia, maybe they might win a national championship. I doubt it. Florida's
is Alabama going to run the table again?
Is Alabama going to run the table again?
Yeah. It kind of has that feel. I don't know.
Somebody always trips them up every once in a while. They're not going to have, and I'm probably going to be wrong about this, but they don't really have back-to-back undefeated seasons like that. Somewhere, somehow, somebody trips.
That's a good point. I never thought about that.
Yeah, they have some random loss to Auburn and stuff like that. And, so they probably will, but I'm going to, based on past recent history, going to say that they might slip up to somebody. I would like for it to be LSU, but then again, they'll come up with 30 million excuses why it happened. Just
like LSU named their starter? Because I've been looking for them. They haven't named it.
Yeah, it's in all likelihood going to be Max Johnson because Miles Brennan is going to be injured for the season. He had a surgery, so Max Johnson is the starter.
Pocket, dual threat.
Dual threat. He's the son of remember Brad Johnson? He used to play for the Minnesota Vikings and Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Right.
Yeah, that's his son. But he can run a little bit because Brad wasn't no run at all. But he played well. He was the quarterback when we beat Florida in the shoe game.
I remember him.
Yeah.
He's nice.
Yeah, true sophomore.
He has that moxie to him.
Yeah. So a lot of people liked him. A lot of people said he should start over Miles Brennan, but I wasn't one of them. But he's definitely going to get those reps. So he's definitely got a lot of good upside. He's going to be the starter.
That sounds good to me. And going back to the NFL, I want to talk a little bit more about that. One of the things that a lot of people were discussing, some of these quarterback battles that's going on, since we were just talking about a quarterback battle.
Yes, sir.
We was talking about the Denver Broncos earlier, and that's the team that's really intriguing to me because I really feel like they have all the tools that they need to win a Super Bowl. Except for if Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater could be a decent 65%, 3,500 yards, 30 touchdown quarterback, that's average. Right. If they can do that, I really feel like the Broncos. I know they got to play the Chiefs twice. They got to play the Chargers twice. It's all good. They can. I really feel like they can really make a strong run this year and then possibly get far in the AFC playoffs.
Well, yeah.
It's just very dependent on because Drew Lock looked pretty good to me. I don't see why everybody kind of gave up on Drew Lock already.
The inconsistency.
So it's okay.
I mean,
he showed me he has a lot of arm talent, and he can.
You know what? Maybe bringing in Teddy will be what he needed to kind of give him that understanding of, hey, I know that they want to, John Elway and the rest of the front offices probably put some confidence that they like me and they want me to be the guy, but here I got somebody behind me behind my shoulder who's getting some reps. So it's probably probably time for me to take it up another notch.
Right.
So we might be seeing that from him. And if that is the case, then, it's all for the best. And Denver definitely has a lot of weapons offensively. We talked about Jerry Jeudy. Right. As long as he gets his drops down.
Super talented.
But, he definitely got incredible speed, swiftness, separate. So there's definitely something with Denver. But like you said, the issue becomes playing in the AFC West with, the dog that is Kansas City, the top dog in the AFC.
They started so wild in that preseason game. Well, most teams.
They're just showing off now.
It's like,
it is.
Well, I kind of got this feeling like the Chiefs players really enjoy competition. Like those group of guys in particular, I'm not saying the other NFL teams don't, but I have Andy Reid, normally he doesn't really play his starters like that. And I have the feeling like guys like Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, they just have this competitive edge. They're like, nah, let us go out there, get some game reps in so we get better, just so we can get used to playing at that high competitive level. They don't want to sit out for preseason games.
Well, yeah, I'm not shocked by that. You know, those guys love playing and they love playing with each other. And that's why they've been so successful, because not only are they ultra talented, but they're ultra cohesive. They have great chemistry. So, you know, they don't shock.
And that goes a long way on a lot of sports teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And through all sports. Yeah.
We've been a part of teams where we had the talent. A lot of expectations. We're just going way back, but the chemistry.
You talking about C King High School classes of 2006 through 2008? Those underachieving teams. But yeah, I mean, it goes a long way.
It goes a long way.
But I think that with the Chiefs is chemistry and talent, and they're so strong everywhere.
Right.
Because I mean,
their offensive line looked really good.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Man, the running game, like, it's not even just giving Patrick Mahomes time. I seen Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He went like, it was one heat run. He went like 5 or 6 yards without getting touched. I'm like, it wasn't like that last year.
And people got mad at the Chiefs taking him first. Really? I knew because I watched.
That's smart.
LSU, but he's a smaller guy, you know, but strong, compact type of player who can do everything. He can catch from the backfield, because that's what he did with these LSU.
They're turning into like running back U almost.
What?
LSU.
Well, yeah, we turned them out pretty well.
Like every single running back that started for LSU, I'm just going off the top of my head. I think they've made the league. Like every single running back. I know Alabama, but what I can remember, every single LSU running back that started, from Jeremy Hill to all those guys, they've all went to the NFL and been starters almost. Leonard Fournette.
Even going back to the old days with Kevin Falk.
Yeah.
Super Bowls with the Patriots. But, I mean, that's what they do, because that's always been LSU's identity. But what I love about Clyde Edwards-Helaire is he also brings the ability, because he's an amazing catch out of the backfield.
Yes, he is.
And a great blocker. So, you know, looking at the Chiefs, that's exactly what they need in terms of completing their offense, especially, you know, when you want to protect an asset like Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
So, you know, everything's just falling into place for them right now. So they look like they're the class of the AFC and the Super Bowl favorite in my eyes.
Super Bowl favorite, that's a strong statement, but, you know,
hey, that's strong. They just won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and it was in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's early in the year, and a lot can go. Like, it's hard to keep that same type of level of greatness for that long, if that makes sense. Because even the Warriors, you know, I thought that run was going to go on for a minute, like a couple of years, and, you know, it ended with an Achilles gone and a bad ACL, and, you know, Steph out there by himself, really. So I hope the Chiefs run continue, because they're right now outside the Ravens. They're my favorite team to watch on Sunday. Sure. But it's tough to see them continuing on this great run.
Well, it's like we had talked about some.
I don't wish injuries on no one. It's just
I know you. I'm not thinking you have bad intentions, man. Come on now. But what we were talking about in terms of teams who look like they could be dynasties on the rise,
right?
Especially in football, you worry about the attrition, which is the injuries,
yes,
and then you also worry about salary cap issues, because everybody wants to get paid,
yes.
And we know that Patrick got his money. And, you know, a lot of those guys are going to come up with contract deals. And
that was smart, though, how they did it. Because you could always because I think more teams are going to go into that more guaranteeing quarterback so much money, so you could restructure that quarterback. Mm-hmm. Say your quarterback, like, hey, I need a top receiver. Mm-hmm. All right, well, give us back this little $10 million. We can move it around the side of the cap. You'll get this right back. Mm-hmm. And then, boom, we go out and get a Julio Jones or Odell Beckham type receiver for you.
Yeah, which makes perfect sense, because at the end of the day, the quarterbacks are your centerpieces of your franchise.
Exactly.
So, of course, everything surrounding the team's finances is going to revolve around what that player makes, and then, you know, building your team from there. So, yeah, it's just smart dealings and smart ways of going about business.
And another team, you know, I was watching not the San Diego Chargers, but the LA Chargers and the LA Rams game. The LA Chargers do have a lot of talent. Mm-hmm. They've been drafting well very quietly. Mm-hmm. Darrian James is going to come back this year, and I think he could win Comeback Player of the Year. He hasn't really shown his talent yet. He's been injured his first couple of years in the league.
He was pretty good when he was on the field.
Man, dude, he's probably top 5 safety when he's healthy easily.
Yeah, Joey Bosa, older Bosa brother. Yeah,
Bosa, Melvin Ingram. The list goes on and on. I can see them really making Kansas City uncertain about just being the head and favorite winners of that division, just on that talent alone of that team. And then they got that quarterback in Justin Herbert, who can go in the shootout with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, they definitely have what you would need to go toe-to-toe with a team like Kansas City. Good defense, amazing quarterback. I'm not going to say I'm not sold on Austin Eckler. I think Austin Eckler is a really good running back. And at the end of the day, it probably might not even make a difference anyway. But I do look at the Chargers as the biggest competition for them in the AFC West. But, hey, you know, as we've seen with the Saints in Tampa Bay, you can win the division. It still won't mean nothing. The other team still makes a Super Bowl run.
True. And getting back to some more of the NFC, on the NFC side, Dallas Cowboys, Michael Parsons, and that defense. I was looking at the Vegas odds, and they had Michael Parsons as he's like the favorite to win Rookie of the Year. But after watching Patrick Surtain, I'm really thinking about just calling him up. And
Vegas?
Nah, well, no, nobody.
Who you calling Vegas?
Nothing, but just Patrick Surtain for Defensive Player of the Year doesn't sound like a bad bet. Just saying.
Yeah, we can go with that. But, you know, Michael Parsons, we talked about him as well because of the physical freak that he was. And had he not sat out last season from Penn State with COVID, he probably would have went a lot higher than he did in the draft because we were talking about one of the better defensive players in that class, probably the best.
Right.
You know, look at him. He's a big guy. I can't remember his exact measurement, 6'3",
kind of like a Cam Chancellor almost, because they say he played like linebacker slash.
Well, he has that speed.
Right.
He's a big guy though. But he's definitely a guy they want to put in the linebacker position. I don't know what Dan Quinn, new defense coordinator, is going to do. All I remember him doing is losing in Atlanta. We'll see with that one. Michael Parsons obviously is probably going to be the favorite because people understood what he was that year he played at Penn State before the COVID shut everything down.
And another quarterback battle I was really watching, paying very close attention to is Cam Newton versus Mack Jones, and with the New England Patriots. And New England Patriots, I think you couldn't have two more opposite quarterbacks battling.
I'd agree.
Like, those guys are like the most opposite quarterbacks as far as for 1 and 2. Cam Newton is a very electric playmaker. He could get it with his legs, sort of with his arm. And then Mack Jones, he's a very a lot of people have been saying this. He's an anticipatory thrower. Like, he anticipates.
Okay. I was wondering where you going. I was like, intense?
Nah.
Inspecting?
I was trying to get anticipatory thrower.
Man, listen, you know how many times we fumble words on the show, man?
He does a great job leading his receivers, reading the defense but that can only get you so far. I've seen so many decent game managers as quarterbacks. Yeah. But now in the league with guys like Patrick Mahomes and now San Francisco, if Trey Lance really knows that Shanahan system and that bootleg offense, I got them winning the Super Bowl easily. Well, easily.
I think where people kind of write Mack Jones off, and, you know, I'll be honest, I'm kind of one of them. One being the obvious thing you talked about, the immense amount of talent he played with.
Matt Lyon comparison.
Yeah, wait. I mean, he's like Ken Dorsey. Remember him?
Oh yeah.
But I mean, what Ken kind of like, because Ken, the jig was up before he even got drafted. He was like a late round pick. But that, and then he's kind of a throwback to the old school style. You know,
it fits what the Patriots like to do in their offense. It's all about timing and being at the right spot at the right time, knowing the playbook, but that can only get you so far.
I agree, but, you know, we'll see how Belichick wants to use him. You know, clearly he's the fan favorite. Did you see when he ran out on the field during the game, how the crowd erupted?
Nah, I didn't check that out.
Yeah.
What's the name? Trey Lance. There was a point in like the preseason, the pregame. Deebo Samuel was running up behind him, just pointing to him like, "Hey, this is the guy. This is the guy."
Right.
Then when he threw that touchdown, just watching the bench and how all the players reacted, you know, a lot of these owners and a lot of these coaches gonna be under a lot of pressure because, you know, the fans gonna be pushing for these young guys to be on the field. You know, a lot of sponsorships gonna be one of these young guys on the field.
Right.
You know, a lot of these coaches, they're going to had to make a very tough decision coming starting week 1 of the NFL season.
But what you just told is actually a good example because we talked about the sponsors and the fans, but what's also not taken into account is the locker rooms.
Exactly.
The locker rooms take up, you know, I mean, obviously they're with those guys every day. They're at practice.
Right.
You know, they see the reps. They have their guy. And, you know, obviously Deebo saying, you know, and I wouldn't be shocked if a lot more in that
a lot of 49ers players are like,
they're like, hey, this is the guy. So it only makes sense. You know, the immense talent is there. They see that he's the one we can make plays with, and, you know, we're a couple years off Super Bowl, the Super Bowl appearance. Maybe this is the guy that we need, and
The same thing with Chicago. They made a good point. Somebody made a good point that the NFL should start showing off the joint practices instead of showing the preseason. Because the preseason game, you really don't really see much, but the joint practices, from what I've been told, they are a lot better than the preseason games.
Yeah, that's where the fights come in.
Yeah, that's why you see real competition, guys really competing, trying to earn starting spots. And Justin Fields, when the Bears and the Dolphins was having their little joint practices, he won some Dolphin players over, and he won pretty much the entire Chicago roster over.
Absolutely, and Justin Fields is a guy who I don't understand why he.
I don't see how he didn't go number one. That's just me.
No.
I get the whole Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, because Trevor Lawrence has kind of been anointed since he was a freshman. So he kind of had that number one spot was his to lose.
For Jacksonville, I do get it. Never mind. I do get it for Jacksonville.
But, Justin Fields, he checks all the boxes of what you want from an amazing player. He's
big arm,
incredible mobility, great intelligence, intangibles, knows how to carry himself as a leader. And I think Chicago definitely got
he was a team captain at Ohio State. I think all of his
great, man. And when he was at Georgia, he showed some flashes. Kirby Smart picked Jake Fromm. I thought that was a dumb decision, but once again, Georgia. That's why
didn't he make all SEC as a freshman? Justin Fields.
I
think he was all SEC.
He barely played though.
He was like a SEC freshman, something like that.
No, I think he barely played. I don't remember him playing much because. When LSU, I got to bring it up because it's relevant to what we're talking about. LSU played Georgia in 2018, and they pretty much dominated Georgia. So Kirby had sat Justin Fields down. Now Justin was just true freshman.
Baby,
he eyes wide open, and he was nervous. Playing in LSU for the first time and getting it. So. But you kind of seen it there because he had some of the mobility and a lot of the the quick decision making. But going to Ohio State, he turned into and matured into a great, fully complete passer and tough too. Because keep in mind, last year the college football playoff we played through that injury. Yeah, we got injured. He
threw like 6 touchdowns that game.
Yeah, he was spectacular, man. He was amazing, but. Scouts, they make the decisions. Scouts and GMs.
And that's why a lot of them scouts and GMs, they be losing their jobs.
I don't feel a tear for them.
And that's going to do it for today's show, man. Thank you guys so much for tuning in on the event on Maxx Sports TV. Download our Maxx Sports TV app to follow us on all of our events. We're also doing wrestling this upcoming Sunday, so stay tuned. We have so many events coming up. And that's going to do it for us. Gentre Williams, Darrian, and Valsin. We're signing off. You guys have a great night. Peace and love, everyone. God bless.
I'm here to say, face get checked like TSA. This is a PSA. Sports in my blood like DNA. We grinding for the chip like Frito-Lay. And I'm gon' let you know if he don't play. I promise this show will never be a bore. Checking out talent from Sea Keys to North Shore.
All the way to North Shore.
It'll never be a gimmick. Was at Aldine, now I'm at Nimitz. Kings in the city, we gon' need to wear a crown. You can bet us now, we the livest in H-Town. So while you tipping in your slab or your Chevy or you chilling in your house, get your popcorn ready. I'm having visions of Bentley. Friday just put me in a football frenzy. That ain't all we do.